Today we're going to be looking at subtracting decimals. Before we get started, let's look at a few vocab words to make sure that we know what we're talking about. Subtracting being taken away from another number. Subtraction being the act of subtracting, so not too much different there. Looking at difference. Difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. Borrowing is going to be where you actually have to borrow from another number to make sure that you can actually subtract correctly. Let's go ahead and look at a few of the rules for subtracting a decimal. The first one, we have to make sure all of the decimal points are lined up vertically. After you've done that, any open place value spots will have to have a 0 placed in to hold that place. The next one, when you are subtracting, you always start on the right-hand side and work left. And you will bring the decimal point directly down to the bottom so that it is lined up with the decimals in the actual problem, and the difference will have the same decimal place value. So let's go ahead and look at a first example here. You can see that there's no open spots, so we don't have to place any zeros because the decimal points here are completely lined up. We are subtracting 8 minus 5 is 3, and so on, working right to left, and the decimal comes straight down to the bottom into the difference. The next problem wasn't as lucky. The 0 here is yellow because we had to add it, so that way it would hold the place value. We are going to work, of course, directly, straight up and down, making sure these decimals are lined up, working the problem right to left, and making sure the decimal is directly in line in the difference. The last example we are going to look at, we had to place a 0 here as a placeholder. Then we actually had to borrow from the next number and regroup, make sure that the numbers are appropriate for subtracting. You cannot take away from 0 or nothing, so we always have to make sure that there's something we can take away from. And work right to left, and the decimal is brought to the difference. Let's go ahead and write these problems on your paper. You're going to try a few of these on your own. You can pause this at any time to make sure that you are on track with me. And I'm going to move on to the next slide just so that way we can review. We need to make sure that the decimals are lined up in the product. Sorry, excuse me, not the product, in the problem and in the difference. And the next step, of course, will be to subtract.